Vinnie?
Thank you so much. And when I came in, I had not been here previously, and I was just amazed taking a look at this beautiful building here. And I'm saying to myself, I'm parked out back, I hope my brakes don't slip. But that is, this is truly an impressive structure, and certainly it almost takes you back to a different time in Westchester and in our state's history. And you see an elegant home like this. But I'm very pleased to be here with you, and thank you for your friendship over the many years now, and to have a chance to come and chat with you folks for a while. As with any year in Albany, we're going through the normal things that we would go through every year. There's wrinkles and different issues, and we're well into the budget process. But I want to address with you something that I think is significant, and I've been in office a long time. And I served in the State Assembly for 12 years prior to going to the State Senate. And there are many challenges that are out there and that we're all going to face. But I see some things happening out there that truly do concern me. I'm the father, with my wife, of 3 teenage children. I would probably have a full head of hair, except for that fact. But good kids. They are coming into, and will be living in, a very different world. The ones that, the world you have known and that I have known. And it does greatly concern me. We are facing now some very difficult cultural challenges that I would say to you represent sea changes in us as a society. Even though I have good kids, as with any parent, you worry, what are they seeing, what are they exposed to? And it's very troubling. When you can put on the television and you can see well-known personalities of the same sex embracing each other, and what we would have not too long ago thought was quite inappropriate. We have so lowered the bar in our country and our society that I don't know how you bring it back. For some people, it meant nothing to see what happened at the Super Bowl. But I'm going to tell you, that was a dramatic thing. That was a major, deliberate, planned cultural statement. And not something that any one of us should laugh about or take lightly. I know no one in this audience would. But something that I found to be quite troubling. Now, I don't stand here and attempt to preach, because that is not what I'm about. This is not a question of casting the first stone. But this is a question of what we will mean as a society and as a people, and what has defined us as a nation. I don't care what they do in France, or Germany, or Italy. I hope they do good things. But to be honest with you, I am most concerned about this, my own country, the greatest nation that God ever put on the planet. And we are supposed to be leaders. Not just leaders in terms of military might, although that's significant, but leaders in other ways, not by how much we consume, not how much Vinnie Liebel and Helen Liebel keep in their bank accounts. But we are supposed to be custodians and guardians of traditions. As we sit here this morning, those traditions are evaporating and are leaving us as a people. And I cannot stand here and tell you what can be done to change that. The last year has been dramatic. And as well as many things good may come from television, one of the impacts of television is its repetitiveness. When you see an event that we would instantly define or our children would know is bad, but then you see it repeated 100, 200 times. It wears down your sensitivity as to what is good and what is bad. That's pure marketing. So I can address the issues that are important to all of us. Our taxes, our quality of life in terms of retirements, our healthcare system, our educational system, but I'm going to suggest to you that there is a tremendous onslaught that is occurring now. That doesn't mean that because someone has a different lifestyle than my own family, that I'm suggesting in any way that anything bad or untoward should happen to that individual. Of course, that's not what I'm suggesting, although to criticize, it's frequently left that you somehow want something bad to happen to somebody else. I'm a Christian. I do not want anything bad to happen to anyone. But I do want you to know that in terms of the Liebel family, we're going to fight this to the end. I'm going to try and make sure that my 3 teenagers grow up in a world where there are expectations from them and expectations from me. Now, I live in Albany a good part of the year. And I married very late. I was just about 37. Now, you know, in a German-Irish family like mine, I had elderly aunts that thought I'd been taken away by gypsies. How come you married so young? But I married late. And you hear a lot of stories about politicians and how their lifestyles are. My dear late friend Hank Barnett used to say, he's used to say, Vinnie, you are the most boring man in Albany. And Hank was pretty boring himself, because we used to go out to dinner all the time together. But I had 3 children after I went into public office. I bought a little house in Albany. It's very inexpensive. And for years they came up with me until they started school. And I said to them, I will have the right every second that I'm alive to know where you are. And you will have the right to know where I am. If I'm not working, I'm at the Albany house. If I'm not in session, I'm there. If you get lonely, you call me at 2 or 3 in the morning. You'll know where you'll find the old man. And I want to suggest to you that without question, the greatest blessing in my life has been my family. I've loved everything else I've done. But I would never lie to you, as hard as I worked on my job as a legislator, I put it second to my family. I believe those are American values. They're not unique to my family. I believe those are values that will continue on. I was asked many years ago when I had the chance to run for Congress why I didn't run for Congress. And I said, well, Albany's 2 hours away. And I have 3 small children, and we have 4 elderly grandparents. And those are my responsibilities, not to be in Washington. And I said, I'd rather have my children look back and say the old man wasn't so bad than say he was a congressman. I bring this to you today, and I could talk about 1,000 things on budget issues, you name it, legislation that I know is significant and would be important to you. But I want you to understand, from my perspective anyway, what a sea change this country is going through, how difficult these times are, and that there should be certain values that are out there that we can all believe in, and there should be certain expectations. And with those expectations, I think we lift each other up. And I would say to you that this sea change is going to continue. And it's going to be dramatic. And there will be those who will say, you're insensitive, Liebel. The issues that are so dramatic that we will face are cloning of human beings. Is my life so important that I have to produce another life to scavenge that body so that I can continue to exist? I don't think so. The Senate Majority Leader, Senator Joseph Bruno, who is 75, Italian American. The newspapers asked him about cloning, and he is one tough guy and has tremendous sense of family. He looked at him and said, nope, the Senate Majority Conference, we're going to make babies the old-fashioned way. No cloning. And in that sense of, with his sense of humor, his wonderful sense of humor, he was talking about a natural way in life. We are going to be confronted with so many difficult issues and medical issues and cultural issues that are out there that our children, these youngsters here today, will be severely challenged, and they have to be brought up in a different world. We were chatting earlier about the challenges in education. The things that occur and can occur in schools today are very different from when I went to school. Now, I went to school and graduated from St. Ignatius Loyola in Manhattan. Things that are discussed today in a classroom, my head would still be spinning. There must be a few of you out there who can understand that. It is possible for the human head to do a 360-degree rotation. We would not have tolerated this. We had a certain sense of self-discipline. Can I go back to that age? I'm sure I can. But what I am going to suggest to you is that there are things that are appropriate and that there are inappropriate things. And we have blurred that line so that now it is indistinguishable. And that is going to be a severe challenge for all of us. I've taken enough of your time. I bring you this morning, for me, what I believe is such a serious message. It's the most serious message that I have seen in 22 years in elected office. And I have no conclusions for you, and I have no idea where this tale will end. Except that, for the old saying, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men and women do nothing. And I would urge you to not be ashamed, to never be afraid, openly discuss. To discuss your principles and your values, the sort of values that bring you together here this morning. I know here when I speak to you, I'm probably preaching to the choir. The important thing is for us to be missionaries and to go out and talk about those things that are important to us and our families with those who may not share those same concerns. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here this morning.
Vinnie has agreed to take a couple of questions. He doesn't have a great deal of time, but if you have a question or two, please address it to Senator Liebel, and I'm sure he'll answer it.
Yes, ma'am.
What is happening about the same-sex marriage business? What is the state legislature doing about it? Are they doing anything?
Yes, Senate Majority Leader said that, and I think we're going to see a bill on that come out. Sir Maltese, who's a colleague of mine, is sponsoring the bill. There's a technical question whether or not we should put the bill in because for most of us, my theory is the law is already clear. So if I put a bill in, it's admitting to the courts that we have an issue. So there is something of a difference of opinion from those of us who agree ultimately on the same principle. My conference will not, Senator Bruno said it a week ago, we will not even look at anything that has to do with that. We will not look at it. And it's clearly for those who express themselves as elected officials, performing marriages, clergymen who do it, they're breaking the law. Now, what is very troubling is when the district attorneys in certain counties say, I won't prosecute that law. And if you want to talk about a cultural issue, look how the chief judge of a southern state was removed from office for putting the 10 Commandments out, which is from our cultural point of view, even beyond religion, where all our laws come from. he was removed from office. Guess who's winning? Yes, sir.
Mr. Liebel, many of us are going to a rally March 30th to show ourselves up in Albany in regards to what are Catholic issues with the hospitals. And I was wondering if you could give us some insight. Will it make a difference, or what impact might that have?
I believe it makes a tremendous difference when constituencies are in Albany, when constituents are there. First place, any politician knows you took the time to come. It's good to see those who agree with you, like me, but it's also going to be good to see those who disagree with you. And ultimately, they may be very nice people to talk to, but at the end of the day, you either agree or you disagree. Okay? There are a lot of people I like that I think are very nice people, but I would hasten to add, would never want to see casting a vote on my behalf. Doesn't make them bad people, just wouldn't want them to do it. And I would suggest that it is very important to go and see those who agree with you, those who disagree with you, and to take every opportunity to let people know where you stand on an issue. Silence is death.
Yes, I'd like to know, how is the legislature, are they trying to put a stop to this overseas? Because it's really putting a damper on the USA Americans and keeping corporate jobs.
Yeah, it's a real problem. The outsourcing.
The outsourcing,
Yes,
yeah.
it's
It's a huge-
We got outsourced, yeah.
problem in the real retail
It
business.
is a huge problem, and I have a basic problem with it. I can always tell you that. I can tell you that you will always find somebody who can do a job cheaper than somebody else.
Right.
When I speak to my colleagues about this, and I talk to them about whether it's China, India, wherever it may be, and they have 1 billion plus people each nation, they don't worry about Social Security. They don't worry about medical insurance. They don't worry about a social health, social net, a safety net. They don't worry about those things.
Right.
Well, when I go to bed tonight, I know that there are 3 Liebel children that are covered by my health insurance. I would have the same expectation for all of my countrymen. And to be honest with you, I'm willing to pay more for products. I'm willing to pay more for a car that I know is made by somebody who is getting good benefits. That's me, okay? But I also believe that, frankly, that's Christian social justice.
Yes.
And I am very pleased to help other societies to do things. But at the same time, I want to protect our own workers. The dilemma is going to probably become even more exacerbated over the next few years. And one of the phenomena as the economy comes out of a recession is the failure to increase jobs. It's the first time the economists have ever seen that. The job increase has been absolutely minimal. I'm not going to tell you it's completely as a result of outsourcing, but I think that certainly is a part of it. One of the things I think we should be doing, we give many state concessions to companies. Any company that outsources, we shouldn't be giving them state benefits.
No.
We shouldn't be giving them, we should not do anything that encourages them on a federal level, which is more significant than what we do at state. We should not be doing anything that encourages them or enables them or makes them more profitable vis-a-vis any other company when they take the jobs and send them offshore.
Right.
We are strong as long as we are all fully employed, as long as our neighbors are working. And there are going to be very, very few families that will not be touched by this. I have a brother-in-law, 55 years old in California, just lost his job in the computer industry. And you will be able to do it cheaper than he can do it by sending it to some nations on the Pacific Rim. But at the end of the day, he lives here. He's paid taxes all of his life.
Right.
He served his country in the United States Navy. Okay? I think he gets the rights.
Let's have one more question.
What are your thoughts on stem cell research?
I can't claim to be technically knowledgeable in that area. I tried to read some on it and confused the daylights out of me. I can understand it where where you're not doing things to create human life. I can understand it at that level. If you get into the situation where you're doing things for the purpose, like I said earlier, if you're producing human life, now you may disagree, and I may disagree, and the scientists may disagree as to when that life begins. But then it becomes, then you do start getting into some of the deep issues. And the result of this is, when you hear, you know, we can talk stem cell, we can talk cloning, but when you start understanding that human lives at some point in time can be brought into being, it's not that far-fetched, because there is a huge market in buying from third world country organs, which is, you know, the Chinese have been accused of this for a number of years, taking prisoners and selling their organs to raise money. These are tremendous issues. Now, forget the criminal aspect of it, it's a moral issue. These are tremendous issues. So I don't know the answer, because I understand there's all sorts of distinctions in the type of stem cell, but that is something we come into in a small way, but it's mainly the federal government, so I haven't been as confronted with it. Thank you very much. It's great seeing you.